In the early 1960s, a student movement grew in America and confronted what we saw as the country's main problems, especially racism, poverty, and the war in Vietnam.
On the television was the image of fire hoses being turned on people, spraying them across the street. They were being thrown every which way. I can remember turning to my father and saying, what does this mean? What are they talking about? The right to... They don't vote? Why can't they vote?
The important thing about SDS was that it wasn't just a civil rights organization or an anti-war organization. It was a multi-issue organization. One of our slogans at the time was that all of the issues are connected.
February 1st, 1960, 4 black students from Greensboro, North Carolina, sat down at a lunch counter in Woolworth's and asked for a cup of coffee. And they weren't served. And that was the beginning of this whole civil rights sit-in movement that spread across the South.
Now the war in Vietnam has provided the incredibly sharp razor that has finally separated thousands and thousands of people from their illusions about the decency and morality and integrity of this country's purposes internationally.
We came out to protest because we were against HUAC's suppression of political freedom. In the 50s, HUAC created a climate of fear by putting people on trial for their political beliefs. Suddenly, the police turned fire hoses full force on the demonstrators inside the rotunda. It turned out to be a political baptism that transformed fear into determination.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
4 dead students at Kent State was a symbol of how far off the rails the country had gone.
And I remember thinking, this is bigger than anything that students have ever done before.
If there is still a campus in this country which is not yet struck against these crimes of the Nixon administration, we call upon them to join us immediately.
Similar protests or rallies have been held at about 100 college campuses across the United States. Perhaps could be the birth of a new nationwide student protest movement. They want higher salaries for college campus workers. They are protesting against what they are saying is the militarization of campus security. They're saying that security there is too tight, but most importantly, they are protesting about how expensive it became for students, especially those from immigrant families, low-income families, to get a higher education in this country.
Has been taken into consideration for what carrying guns on campus implicates for people of color.
They have murdered many people. They have a history of racial violence. Let everyone know that Black Lives Matter. We know that our incarceration system is a continuation of slavery. We are here fighting oppression.
This is not really a safe campus if you're a person like me. We have to pray in a dingy basement. True. That's the only place we have to be a Muslim on this campus.
There's definitely, again, the intersectionality between race and economics is there. Even public schools are incredibly expensive and getting more expensive each day. The University of California system was originally free for all. It's just become so expensive as to be exclusionary to people who cannot afford it, and of course that a lot of people of color fall within that bracket.
happened to you, bro?
They shot me in the back with a cat.
As you were walking away?
Back in the book segment tonight, Waters World. Some radical students at the University of Missouri angry their protest movement has been eclipsed by the ISIS terror attacks in Paris. One tweet says, quote, "We can remember the tragedy in Paris and still remember Mizzou. We are capable of multitasking. Both situations are equally messed up."
The mood on campus right now, what is it?
It's kind of tense. It seems like folks are scared.
This protest movement, what set it off?
Our student body president called the N-word.
Grad students having their health insurance taken away. A swastika was painted on somebody's dorm in human feces.
Have you guys experienced any problems here?
Me personally, no.
One of the demands, the president had to acknowledge his white male privilege. What does that mean?
I don't see a problem with that demand.
White privilege is going to a store and knowing that you're not going to be followed because they think you're stealing, you know?
This country has been based on white supremacy, you know what I'm saying? It's been built on a lot of people's blood.
Increase retention rates for marginalized students. Are you marginalized?
In some ways, you could say I am.
How?
For one thing, I'm a woman. I am also a queer student. I identify as bisexual.
What do you guys want?
We want justice. We want all this discrimination that they doing to our people to end. What the white people need to understand is that they keep on threatening us. We want to get on what they want. We're not in a 2 for a 2. You have to let them feel the same way.
You got rid of the president. What's next?
Get justice for Mike Brown. Get justice for Trayvon Martin. We gotta fight back.
That's why we're occupying a white space, okay? Our white brothers and sisters, we want to give you something special.
Good, everyone wants
Let's
to
go
come.
make some space so that folks can heal.
I think one thing that gets miscommunicated is that black people hate all white people, or we think that all white people hate us, and that's not true.
So you were the peacemaker. You were bringing everybody together.
I healed things there.
I thought it was bad in the 60s.
I know.
Yeah, we want a safe zone.
That's right. They ended up kicking all the white people who protested with them out of the safe zone.
My personal political philosophy, black nationalism, which means that the black man should control the politics of his own community and control the politicians who are in his own community. My personal economic philosophy is also black nationalism, which means that the black man should have a hand in controlling the economy of the so-called Negro community. He should be developing the type of knowledge that will enable him to own and operate the businesses and thereby be able to create employment for his own people, for his own kind. And the social philosophy also is black nationalism, which means that instead of the black man trying to force himself into the society of the white man, we should be trying to eliminate from our own society the ills and the defects and make ourselves likable and sociable among our own kind.
Well, you seem to be dissatisfied with everything. Just what do you want?
I'm not dissatisfied with everything. What you are able to see with your analytical mind is that everything that is offered doesn't produce what it's supposed to produce. And I'm just telling you that it doesn't produce what it's supposed to produce.
Well, what is your ultimate aim?
The only way the problem can be solved. First, the white man and the black man have to be able to sit down at the same table. The white man has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of that Negro. And the so-called Negro has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of the white man. Then they can bring the issues that are under the rug out on top of the table and take an intelligent approach to get the problem solved. That's the only way that they'll ever do it. We need an action program while we are Muslims, or while we are Christians, or while we are whatever we are. We still need an action program that will eliminate these evils that are in our community. This is what we're trying to do with the Muslim Mosque Incorporated.
Do you consider yourself militant?
I consider myself Malcolm.